Hello everybody, my name is Art Yudin and I've been teaching Python professionally for more than 8 years. Now today what we're doing intro to Python. So this course, and as a matter of fact this is live stream, so you're welcome to ask me questions. We have a live chat going on. So today this course is designed for complete beginners, so we're gonna start from scratch. So if you never coded before and you have no idea what Python is or programming is in general, that's totally fine. We're gonna start from scratch and I'm gonna explain you everything, all right? And usually people would ask me, hey, like I wanna start programming, where should I start? So the answer would be you should start with data types. Now don't be afraid of all these buzzwords for now. I'll explain you everything as we go. But first thing first, let's talk a little bit about Python environment, what environment you should be using. Now Python is very popular. So there are a bunch of different environments that you could actually use. You cannot go wrong with that. But if you're planning to use Python for data analysis and data science, there is very popular platform Anaconda. Anaconda is a package, it's totally free, so you could just go to anaconda.com or you could Google Anaconda Python and it will take you to this page. And you could download it, it's totally free. And I would recommend you to do that so you could have it on your computer. However, sometimes maybe you have a slightly outdated computer, maybe you don't have enough memory for Anaconda, or maybe you just want to run something on the go, maybe on your iPad or something like that. So then there is alternative, there is Google Colab. Google Colab is also totally free, and that I would say Anaconda online. So pretty much what they did, they took the same concept and they invented it here in Google Colab. So you could just Google it, Google Colab, C-O-L-A-B. And that's what we're going to be using today because it requires some time to download Anaconda. And again, Anaconda is a package that comes with a bunch of different extensions. Usually I get this question asked like, why Python is so popular? Why Python is better than Excel? Why should I switch from Excel to Python? The answer is it's popular because it comes with a bunch of different extensions and you can find extension pretty much for anything. So for example, comparing to Excel, you could gather information from online sources, or if you're on finance, maybe you could get information from Bloomberg or some other sources. If you're on data analysis or maybe digital marketing, so you could get information in real time from Google Analytics. So that's why Python is so popular. All right, and today we're going to be doing some practical work. And we start with data types. So if you're here in Google Colab, and all it requires to have a Google login and a password. Otherwise, it's totally free and easy to use. And I hope you're on this page. So then you could go to File, and you choose New Notebook. All right, so Notebook is a fancy name for a file. And I'll be using these words interchangeably today. Notebooks and files, pretty much same stuff. All right. So you see, if you click here, it will open us brand new file. And let me explain you what's going on here. I hope you could see everything. So here we have cells. So they call this thing cells, all right? If you need more cells, you could click here and get more cells. If you want to remove cell, then there is this trash. All right, and then you could remove that, all right? And there are a bunch of different shorthands here. Now, before we get to actual Python, let me show you how to get around. So for example, you could write some Python code like x equals 7. Now keep in mind when you write Python code like this, And again, it does matter because we're not getting to Python yet. I'm just showing you how to get around. You need to execute the cell. By executing the cell, I mean you need to click this run button. All right, so you see, and it spins and it will execute this code. Again, if you download, let's say, Anaconda on your computer, so this process will be a little bit faster because you would be running Python locally. Otherwise, it might take a millisecond because let's face it, we are working in the cloud on server. All right, so this is what you should do. Now, another thing that I want to show you, that I know it's kind of annoying to click this run button all the time. So you could do shift enter simultaneously, and that would be shortcut for the same stuff. All right, so shift enter. And by the way, you see here I placed hashtag. So what it means that this part that I wrote here will not be taken by Google Colab as a Python code. So this is how you could take notes or annotate your code. And then if I do shift enter, you see it's still spinning and it's running. So that's pretty much all you need to know about Google Colab for now. And as we go, I'll show you some other stuff, and it all will make sense. It's not like really difficult. All right, so what we're going to be doing today, we're going to start with data types. All right, so what is a data type? Data type is very important concept in programming. So if you're planning to use Python for data analysis, data science, like whatever, you need to start with data types because that would be a foundation. And data types, they're very important pretty much in any programming language because that's a core of any programming language that you need to understand. And in Python, we have something called Python built-in data types. So if you have Python installed on your computer, you already have these data types. All right, so what is a data type? Before I give you a formal definition of a data type, let me give you my definition of a data type. So here I have a bottle of water, right? So you could actually pick it up at any store. So let's think about it for a second. So the bottle itself is a container. It's a container that contains water. And water in this case is the value. So you see, we know, and that's a common knowledge, that there are a bunch of different containers exist for water. There is a cup, there is a glass, there is a can, there is travel mug, and something like that. So the point I'm trying to make is that based on how we're planning to use this water, this value, we should choose an appropriate type of container. So for example, if I go to a fancy restaurant and ask them for a water, they would bring me the same value in a different type of container, in the glass, right? So you see, the point I'm trying to make is that there are different containers exist, and we should choose a container based on how we're planning to use the water, all right, this value. And so in a nutshell, data type is just a data container, all right? So it's a container to save data. That's pretty much it. And today we're going to be talking about one container in particular. We're going to be talking about strings. We're going to talk about strings. So that's a built-in data type in Python, and I'm going to explain you everything that you should know about strings. And again, so data type, if you ready to start learning Python, I would recommend you to, first of all I'm going to be doing today, I will place in the description as a file. So I'll take this file, and you could literally find that file. I'm going to send you a link in the description. And if you're serious about Python, I would recommend you to take a look at roboticview.com. So that's our bootcamp. where we have Python intensive, where we teach these data types really well. And then if you, whenever you're ready, you could switch to Python for data science intensive. So this is where we teach data frame, NumPy, pandas, and other more sophisticated data types. All right, so now let me get back here. So let's talk about string. All right, so what is a string? Okay, so let me start with this. Have you ever thought how computers understand stuff? Because computers, they understand only numbers, right? So computers understand only numbers. But what if we want to say something like hello? So in this case, that would be text. This would be text, and that would be an example of a string. Now, how do I know that? So here I prepared this tab called Python built-in functions, and also I will provide you with the link to this page, or you could just Google Python built-in functions. And Python is so cool. Sometimes people call Python batteries included because it comes with a bunch of built-in things. So for starters, it comes with built-in data types. We just discussed that. And also it comes with built-in functions. So you'll find all the functions here. And if you're serious about Python, I would recommend you to bookmark this page. Now, the first function that I would definitely recommend you to take a look at would be function type. So this function, I think it's underappreciated, but that's what you should be doing as a beginner. You should use that function. And first of all, what is a function? Function is a block of reusable code. So something that you could use over and over again. And in this course later, I'll show you how you could compose your own functions. But for now, just for simplicity's sake, think that functions just commands that do something, all right? So for example, I could use this type here, and we usually what we do, we take this object. Now, why is this all of a sudden an object? Because Python is object-oriented programming language. So in a nutshell, everything is an object. So I take this object, I pass here into function, I click this run button, and it returns me data type. So str stands for a string. So now that's a string. Okay, so what is a string? So some people would say that string is just text. Yeah, that's simple explanation, and here you could write any text. And string could be small, could be large, it got no limit. It all depends how much memory you have in your computer. It could be entire Congress library if you have enough memory, right? So there is no limit how long that text could be. However, formal definition of a string goes like this. So string is a sequence of characters. Wrapped in quotes. You see? So here what we could do, we could write apple, then empty space, then bunch of numbers, then bunch of special characters. Again, if I run this function type here, that will return me a string. Why? Because all I wrote there, I actually placed in quotes. And then again, people usually would ask me, should we use single quotes or double quotes? It doesn't matter. You could use them interchangeably. The only rule of programming, always stay consistent. If you open with a single quote, close with a single quote. If you open with the double quotes, close that with a double quotes. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. So then there is a question like, what about empty spaces? Would they count as strings too? The answer is yes, yes, yes. And by the way, speaking of strings, let me show you another built-in function. So you'll find it here. It's ORD, stands for order. So remember what I told you before, that computers understand only numbers. So for example, I could use this function ord, and I could pass here a, and it will return me a number. Hey, what is going on? What is that number? I could also do ord and pass there lowercase a, and I'm getting 97. All right, so what's going on here? So like I said, computers understand only numbers, and basically all these letters, they got a number. So for computer lowercase a is 97, and uppercase capital A is 65. And a couple of things we could get out of this. So first of all, Python, pretty much as any programming language, is case sensitive. Because again, for us, for humans, sometimes we don't care if it's like lowercase letter, if it's uppercase letter. But you see, for Python is a huge deal, because you see the difference between 65 and 97, right? So huge difference. So these would be two different animals for Python. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that I would call them even not letters. I mean, although that's a letter, I'm not arguing with them. I'm just saying, so if somebody will show you some kind of character from the foreign alphabet, I don't know, probably not this, but some kind of foreign alphabet, it would say, I don't know, that looks like some kind of character for me that I don't understand. So computer would understand 72 and 97, not this character. And the point I'm trying to make, if you take, let's say, number, let's say 7, so these 7 will be taken by Python as a character, not as a number, so that you cannot do math operations. You cannot do math operations to strings, although they might look like numbers, you see? And we get the 55. So for Python, and that's the point I'm trying to make, this string is just some character. All right, pretty much like here you could place at or dollar sign or whatever would be another character. Now again, fortunately for us, we don't need to remember all these numbers, and you don't have to think about them too much. I usually use this function ord just to make an example out of this. All right, and if we place here an empty string, we will also get a number. So the point I'm trying to make, that empty string, empty space, if it wrapped in quotes, also will be taken Python as a character, as a string. All right. And by the way, speaking of ord, there is function. Oh boy, that's ord. And then there is function. Oh boy, I lost it. By the way, this is a live show, so something could go wrong. But that's embarrassing. I lost the name of the function. ORD and yeah, CHR. All right. So CHR stands for character. ORD stands for order. So the point I'm trying to make, so for example, here you see when I'm running ORD on this letter A, I'm getting 97. So if I use CHR and pass then 97, it will get me opposite of ORD, it will get me the actual character, you see? So that's what's going on. CHR will get you actual character. We don't use them very often, honestly, because they here there are different encoding systems exist. You don't have to think about them too much, because when you buy a computer or when you have a program installed, they're already pre-programmed for you. But just the point I'm trying to make is that string is a character. So getting back to definition of a string, string is a sequence of characters wrapped in quotes. So if you take something, wrap it in quotes, so Python will take it as a string. All right. Now, what can we do with a string? So we could actually create a variable name, like randomly picked variable name word, and then we could assign something to that word like apple. Now, why do we need variable name? Because you probably know that computers got two types of memory. there is long-term memory, then there is short-term memory. Long-term memory, if you want to save something for a long term, such as a file, or maybe such as some data in a database, right? Now, computer runs pretty much in RAM memory or short memory, and pretty much like any app. So we need to use variable names to save values. So this is a variable name word, and again, randomly picked. You could use something else. You could use X, Y, and Z, but X, Y, and Z won't be a good idea because when you get back to your code later, you would spend a lot of time like trying to figure out what you meant by X, what you meant by Y, and so on. So do not be afraid to use long variable names, and then we assign a value. So this variable name will work as a tag or label. So think of it like this. You have a memory like a box, you got a bunch of values, you want to find something, let's say like that word apple, so then you could fetch it by the variable name, by that tag, by that label. As a matter of fact, in documentation, in Python documentation, sometimes they use word pointers. Usually we call them variable names. So you see now, let me show you how that stuff works. Let me remove these guys from here. So then here what we could do, we could actually type here a word. If you run the cell, it will fetch you that value from Python memory, which is apple. All right. Now, what else do you need to know about strings? So string is a sequence of characters. So like I told you, there could be many. So for example, if you want to see length or number of characters within a string, you could use one of Python built-in functions. So again, you'll find them here. So there is function length. So for example, you could use function length here, and that will get you number of characters 5, right? Because obviously there are 5 characters in apple. All right, so you see it will get you number of characters. Another thing is that you could take word and you could concatenate it to itself, for example, right? So you see, basically when I use this plus operator, what's going on? One string is being concatenated to the other one. I could even do something silly. I know it does make sense, but still, like hello, you see? It will just concatenate more stuff to that original string. So you could concatenate strings. What else can you do? Now, what I'm about to show you is very, very important. I want to show you how to see built-in methods. Now, so far we've been talking about Python built-in functions, and the difference between functions and methods, that functions, they kind of commands and they generic. What does it mean? It means that you could actually apply them to different containers, to different data types, to different objects. However, if we take a look at apple, so that's a string, and even if I change it to banana, still would be a string, right? Still would be a string. Even if I change it to blah blah blah, so still would be a string. So the point I'm trying to make, all strings as a container, they share same attributes. They share same attributes. So what is an attribute? All right, so we all here objects, human beings, right? And we share the same attributes. All of us got first name and last name. So first name is your attribute, last name is your attribute, right? So there could be more attributes. I don't know, color of my shirt or whatever. If you care, could be my attribute. So, and all strings, they all share same attributes as that container. So how do you find them? So to find all attributes, you could use function dir. dir is very important function, and by the way, you see when we're using Google Colab, it's kind of helping us, and it pops up that definition of dir function. And if you pass here that word, so what it's going to do, it will return us that long list. All right, so first it's kind of confusing, but let me show you what's going on here. So when you run dir, it will get you all attributes for this type of object, for this type of container, for that string in particular in this case. And first we see this kind of, they call them dunder methods. What is a dunder methods? Double double underscore, double double underscore. So people don't want to say double double underscore, they don't want to say double double underscore, so they call them dunder methods. Now, right way to call them, I would say more appropriate way to call them would be private methods, because they built into the object. So usually you want to skip these methods. Why? Because usually Python would use them itself. And usually when I get this question, when I say that you shouldn't be using these dunder methods, people would say, hey, why? I want to use it. Now let me show you an example. For example, method add. So what you could do word dot underscore underscore add underscore underscore, and then you could place here, let's say hello. So you see what's going on. It just concatenated these two strings. And yeah, sure, you could do it like this, but wouldn't be easier to do what we did before, just to use this plus sign and get the same stuff, hello. You see, that would get us exactly the same. So this plus sign will call this dunder method add, and this dunder method will do that magic. Another example, if we use function lane, method lane, and if I run it like this, it will get us 5 because there are 5 characters. Again, you could do it like this. However, in my opinion, it would be much easier to run lane on word, and you see, it will get you the same result. So basically, when you call this function, it will invoke or call this method len that will perform that trick. And you might ask me, hey, why all of a sudden we're using this different syntax? Because function, you take a function and you pass something into a function like an argument, and then function returns result. So why all of a sudden we do period and then method? Because methods, they built into the object. They're already there, you see? They're already known. And like I said, functions would be more generic. So functions you could use with different types of objects. But here, method comes from the object directly. And then usually people would ask me, hey, wait a minute, today's my first day. How would I learn all that stuff? And the point I'm trying to make here, and in all my courses, there is no need to like memorize the stuff, because what you could do, you could run function dir on this word, and only if method is here, only then you could use it like object period method. If it's not on this list, then no way you could do it that way. You see, it's like really simple. All you have to remember is dir, and then you could run it. Also, depends on environment. Now, for example, here we're using Colab. What you could do, instead of running dir, there is a shorthand. You could just place period, and you see it will give you this pop-up menu of exactly same methods. Exactly same methods that you see when you run in dir. Now, the only difference is that if later you decide to use some other environment, so it might work differently, you see. Then you just do it like old-fashioned way with dir. But many text editors, they got these built-in things such as this pop-up thing, and then capitalize, you see? So for example, if you run capitalize on Word, what it's gonna do, it will capitalize that string, you see? That will capitalize the string, and then it will be capitalized, right? So the point I'm trying to make, if you're not sure what to do, suppose you're trying to do something, you're not sure what to do, always start with dir, see what's already built in, see what's already built in. Now, for example, there are a bunch of methods, and again, some of them self-explanatory, some of them are kind of confusing. So then, if you're not sure what method does or how to use it, that's totally fine. Again, there are so many of them, right? So you cannot memorize them. But then what you could do, you could use function help. You could use function help. And then when you run function help, it will reveal you definition of that method. And in many libraries, so again, like for example, in this course, Python Data Science Intensive, we cover like really sophisticated subjects such as pandas, data frame, numpy. So it's like really sophisticated data structures and data types. So then it's impossible to memorize everything. So then that's exactly where help will be pretty much where you would need to use help. Okay. So, and help in this case is quite simple, but in other libraries, help would be irreplaceable. But anyway, so let's take a look what's going on here. Let's take a look what's going on here. And basically they're saying that upper method returns a copy of a string converted to uppercase. Okay. So now let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. So you see it converts everything to uppercase. All right, that's good to know. That's good to know. But question, and I usually ask this question to people who are familiar with Python programming. I would ask them, hey, but why it returns a copy? Why it returns a copy? And people would usually say, because we want to keep the original. So what if I don't want to keep the original? So what I'm about to tell you is very important part, and it's usually asked during job interview questions. Because if at some point of your life you go to job interview and you mentioned that you know Python, the first question would be, what are the built-in data types in Python? And that's pretty much what we're trying to learn in this live stream. So then you're going to mention a string. They will ask you what string is, and you're going to say that string is a sequence of characters. Okay, so then another question would be if string is mutable or immutable. Now, what that means? It means that, please write it down if you take notes because that's a good idea. String is immutable, means string cannot be changed. Cannot be changed, all right? And that's why Python cannot change it. It will return you a copy. Okay, and when I get to this point, a couple of things happens. Usually people would say like, that's so much information because we need to like just do stuff with Python. We don't care like that deep. Now let me explain you why mutability concept is so important, because immutable objects that cannot be changed, they actually tend to be faster. So if you're planning to use Python for data science, data analysis, and you're planning to work with huge data sets, obviously you want to go faster, not slower. So that's important to understand behavior of data types. And string is immutable, so that's how it behaves. And another thing people would ask me, what are you talking about? So take a look. I could say like word, and suppose word is apple, and then I could take let's say word, and if I could do something funny like this, you see. Now let me explain you something. Now in Python there is another built-in function called id. id, if I run this and then I run that, it will get me a number. Keep a number. Keep in mind that number is not important. Number is address of that object in Python memory. So what does it mean? It means, like, for example, you go to some kind of event and you check in your code and they would give you a number. You want to get your code back, you present a number, they will find your code by that number. Number would be different based on your system, based on computer, and so on. So number itself is not important. But if I rerun this and if I do id on this word now, I'll get, okay, so in this case we got the same, but let me change it a bit. Let me make it apple with a capital A. So you see number would be different. So what it means that this apple, although I reassigned the variable name, is totally different object than this one. And for simplicity's sake, we could actually get rid of word and just pass the whole string is here. And then we could pass this here. And you see, number is totally different. Let me remove this so you'll see that it's, see? So in this case, number is totally different. So what it means that we're talking about two different objects. All right, so I think we have covered enough for one day. If you like that presentation, like it, and I'll do more stuff like that. We'll talk about other built-in data types such as list, dictionary, because you need to know all built-in data types and how to use them, and they all behave differently. And I'm gonna place description for everything that we have covered today in the description, under this video. And please like it, and then we'll do more. But the main thing you have to remember is that string is a sequence of characters and it's immutable. So if you ever go to job interview and they ask you this question, so you should answer just like that. String is a sequence of characters and it's immutable. And please check our website because we got a bunch of free workshops and resources. You'll find this information here. Also, link would be in the description. All right. Thank you very much. And if you liked it, please like, and we'll do more videos like this. Thank you.